This may sound crazy, but moving forward as an entire society, maybe we should start showing just a pinch of reluctancy before jumping to the defense of people accused of murder. Alright? Let's jump into this. A few days ago, about 30 miles outside of Dallas, Texas, a 17-year-old student was fatally stabbed by another student during an altercation that broke out at a high school track meet. This happened at a track meet where student athletes from 8 of the district's 12 schools were competing. The student who has now passed was Austin Metcalf, an 11th grader at Memorial High School, and I swear, if one person comments and talks about how I just said the word passed instead of using a more graphic term, I'm going to delete your comment. YouTube does not like it when I use or anyone uses graphic terminology, so chill. The student who has been charged with the M word is a boy named Carmelo Anthony, spelled with a K, not to be confused with the baller Carmelo Anthony, spelled with a C. According to the Frisco Police Department, Anthony and Metcalf were both at a track meet at Q Kendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas, when Anthony allegedly removed a knife from his backpack and Metcalf, who was pronounced unalive by the time he arrived at the hospital. Defense attorney Derek Walpole said, "I know that my client said it was self-defense. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that, but I need to develop facts, talk to people, and figure out what's going on before I make any statements about what I think happened." He also stated, "I don't have any reason to think it wasn't self-defense at this time." Now look, I was not there, so of course I don't know exactly what happened, but we're going to piece together some of these stories to get an idea of what happened, and then we're going to jump into the craziness, because what's happening right now, because of what took place in the current situation and whatever's happening in this world, it's crazy. To make this as short as possible, apparently Carmelo was sitting under a specific high school's team tent. They wanted him to move, so they got Metcalf, seemingly a bigger football guy. If you went to high school, I'm sure you can imagine the type. Now remember, this is just based on what people around said happened. Metcalf told Carmelo to move. Carmelo said something along the lines of, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf then went to physically move Carmelo. Carmelo reached into his bag and pulled out a knife and, well, you know the rest. An officer ordered Carmelo to put his hands up, at which time Carmelo Anthony allegedly shouted, "I was protecting myself." When the officer referred to Anthony as an alleged suspect, he seemingly admitted to the crime, allegedly saying, "I'm not alleged, I did it." He apparently also told police, "He put his hands on me, I told him not to." He apparently also asked police if what happened could be considered self-defense. Now look, like I said before, I was not there. We don't have all the facts yet, but no matter how you look at this, it's a terrible tragedy. Metcalf was a 4.0 student with hopes of playing college ball at a smaller college, and from what I've seen, it looks like Carmelo was near a 4.0 student as well. I think I read 3.7 GPA student who had hopes and aspirations as well. No matter how you look at this, it's just terrible. But one thing I was not expecting was to see that Carmelo's family has raised over $150,000 in donations for his defense fund in like 24 hours. As of this morning, his defense fund is already over $150K. If you're reading the story, no matter which media outlet you're getting the story from, it seems like Carmelo crashed out and committed the M word, right? As of right now, there's not much evidence pointing towards Carmelo being in the right. Now, if you're anything like me, this makes absolutely no sense as to why people would be donating. And you can't even start to wrap your head around how many people are donating to this guy's defense fund. So, yeah, I mean, be so real. Just based on the evidence that you've heard here, and if you've read about it yourself, the evidence that you've read, it's pretty hard to believe that his family has raised over $150,000 already for his defense fund. So I'm going to share a few comments with you from people that are donating to Carmelo's defense fund so we can go on this journey and see if we can understand this together. This person donated $50 and said, "Sending prayers for your entire family. You raised a great son. Father God, please see he comes home to his family, a free man, and can continue with his life to be a great man he should be. In the name of Jesus, amen." Now, okay. Not quite sure that there's much evidence proving that this guy raised a great son as of right now, but let's continue. This person donated $200 and said, "Thank you, Carmelo, for standing up for yourself against racist bullies, because if you didn't, you would probably not be here today." Once again, kind of a bold claim. There's not much evidence to support that Carmelo was going to be killed if he didn't move from under that team's tent. But all right, continuing. This person donated $1,000 saying, "I'm proud of you for not being afraid to defend yourself, little bro. You stood up for yourself, and now I'm here to stand up for you." Okay. And then this person donated $25 and said, protect black boys that are moving through this world that hates them, doing their best to protect themselves, praying for the family and redemption. Okay. This is where it started making a little bit more sense to me. Do you realize how absolutely divided we are right now? This is a result of everyone choosing a side, a political side, a cultural side, and those sides being so polarized, so hateful of the other, and so afraid of the other that we defend, send money to, idolize, and protect people that seemingly do the worst, most horrible things in our society. That Luigi Manducer dude, or whatever, that unalived, that healthcare CEO, is an extreme example of this. I'm pretty sure his defense fund has reached well above like $1 million donated now. Now, going back to the story that we are currently talking about, how have these people gotten to the point where they are donating so much money to Carmelo, a 17-year-old that admitted to the unaliving of Metcalf? This person donated $5 and said, shout out to the Black Authority YouTube for sharing this link. This is why. And this is how we're going to dive into the minds of the people donating to Carmelo Anthony. Once again, not to be confused with the baller, Carmelo Anthony. Now, I need you to listen to a few minutes of this YouTuber talking about this situation, this Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony situation, so that you can fully understand the hatred we are dealing with, the animosity that is fueling this polarization, the completely different reality being shaped for a lot of people in our society by people like this YouTuber. This is important, so let's listen to it together.
Tonight on the Black Channel, story out of Frisco, Texas here, and you all know me. I am not a knee-jerk type of person, so I don't just jump up and say things.
All right, I've watched one of this guy's videos, and I'm just going to preface it by saying he seems like a knee-jerk type of person.
And I don't just come flying in to defend things out of nowhere, so I like to get some information. So while I am not going to give a blanket defense of anything, because we don't have all the facts or all the information just yet, there are certain facts and information that we do have. What we do have here is that at Centennial High School, apparently there was a track meet that involved a bunch of high schools in the area. And in particular, there was a student, Carmelo Anthony, 17 years old, goes to Centennial High, and got into an altercation with a couple of twins, Justin Metcalf and his brother. And they were at this track meet, and they're from different schools. Frisco, I think, is Centennial. They're from different schools, okay?
So just so you understand what's about to take place in this video, he's going over the information he's gathered as to what happened, and then he dissects it a little bit. And I think it's incredibly important to hear what he's saying when he does dissect it, just so you can understand the reality that people are living in that are doing stuff like donating to Carmelo Anthony here. I think this is very important, so please bear with me for a second, because I think that you need to hear this.
Fine. An altercation occurs where apparently the teenagers, the two twins, had made some intimidating, threatening comments toward Carmelo, pictured on the left. And somewhere along the line, he allegedly pulled a knife and stabbed the Justin Metcalf over there on the right in the chest, who apparently had pierced his heart, and he died on the scene. All very unfortunate, all very tragic, all very unfortunate. It certainly is. Of course, nobody thinks they're going to send their children to school and that they're going to die. No one thinks that kind of thing is going to occur. So, of course, you ought to be able to sit here and take a look at just the events and just the facts and judge it that way, but that is not what is occurring. Interestingly enough, with all the things going on around America right now of such incredible importance, what we've noticed is that the white supremacist media, white supremacist YouTubers like The Quartering, Matt Walsh and others, Megyn Kelly, the white supremacists have seized on this particular incident. And when you see so many of them swarming on a specific incident that is otherwise not especially notable, that tells you that they see this as propaganda.
So, I mean, we are 2 minutes into this video, and he is already bringing up the whole white supremacy thing. And you wonder why we are where we are in this world, or in this country at least, in the West. Now remember, this guy said he's not the type of person that jumps to any type of conclusion. But all right, let's continue.
That they feel that there's something about this that puts white supremacy under attack. So your ears go up and you start looking at it a little bit closer when some of the usual white supremacist suspects start jumping up and doing what they do. Now, I can play many things here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Megyn Kelly here. We're going to go to Megyn Kelly, who, like I say, if ever there was an old wrinkled crone of a white supremacist female witch, she is it. Aged out, drug out, tossed out, and of course, no black children shall ever not be attacked by this vicious media sociopath. And by the way, not having any facts now, she jumps in and starts commenting with no information, except she got all the information that she needed, which she really exposed herself. The white supremacists didn't have the information. So how is it that they're going ahead and making all these accusations with it when the police haven't released all the information? Hell, they haven't released what they should have released. So why is it they're all speaking out so quickly? Well, there's only one fact that they do know. And that's the fact that she's going to speak about here when she starts talking.
The victim who died was 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. He was a student attending Frisco's Memorial High School. His twin brother, Hunter, was there as well. He went to sit down and found another student in his seat, from the sound of it, and said, "That's my seat," or something to that effect. And that other student reportedly turned around and stabbed him in the heart.
Now, this is absolutely not what happened. She is not just leaving things out, but she is changing up exactly what occurred. So she is, of course, a vicious liar because she wants to go ahead and get the lie out there first, and then you have to go research the truth. And just like with Daniel Penny, they'll just keep repeating the lie again. Like Donald Trump, they'll just keep saying it because
it's crazy. He's talking about how, and I have never really listened to Megyn Kelly, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what she says in her podcast or her show or whatever she does. But what's crazy to me is that this guy is just saying, oh, she jumps to all these conclusions. She says this, she says that, she says these lies, no facts. That might not be exactly what happened in this tragic situation. But this guy coming out here and just calling her a white supremacist, he's about to call Michael Knowles a white supremacist or alleged white supremacist. This guy jumps to a lot of conclusions as well, right?
Remember, white supremacy can't stand on its own. As soon as you see it, everyone rejects it. So, of course, she immediately resorts to an outrageous lie and just says, he said, "Hey, can you get out of my seat?" And he just gets...
And another thing, too, he says, oh, she has to get the lie out there first. The very first thing this YouTuber does in this video is say that everyone involved in this is a white supremacist. I'm assuming that's a lie. So, just like this guy is accusing Megyn Kelly of starting everything off with a lie, and then you have to go out there and you have to research and you have to prove it was a lie yourself. This guy is doing the exact same thing. Different realities.
Stabbed. You just notice. So, in other words, what she's saying is the crazy nigga accusation. 17-year-old, 3.7 GPA, black honor roll student, and hey, can you get out of my... Hey, sir, I am just a good Christian Mormon missionary for the love of Jesus Christ. Might I have my seat? Ah! According to her, that's what occurred. So, of course, obviously, what makes them despicable scum is things like this. If you're going to talk about the event, then just relay what happened of the event. Oh, if you relay what happened of the event, you can't turn this into a white supremacist propaganda. So she's using the dead body of this teenager to promote white supremacy. Despicable, shameless, reprehensible.
Brother, you are despicable, shameless,
This kid who
reprehensible.
got killed was
God.
17. He had a 4.0. He was a football star. Sorry. And
the kid that he attacked is got pretty much the same GPA. Does she mention that? All hands up if you think she was going to mention that or not. And also, this was a track meet. Let me remind you one more time, this was a track meet. As you can see, well, you can't see here,
Y'all, please bear with me through this guy's video. It really is important for us to understand what is fueling the people that you disagree with. It's incredibly important. So just bear with me for a few more minutes. And really hear and listen to what this guy's saying.
These trophies he has here are for football. So Justin, over here on the right, well, he's a football player, not a track runner. He's a football player. And yet he was at this track event. So once again, notice Megan is not pointing any of this out to put in this proper context. Hey, this football player and his football brother were at a track event. The Anthony over there on the left, he's the one who runs track. So these two football players ran up on a track runner at a track meet. And Megyn Kelly isn't saying any of this to you. Of course she's a white supremacist scum. Of course she is. We've told you this for years. Of course she is. When Roland Martin was trying to defend her. Of course she is. We have remained completely consistent about this. And the longer she goes, the more consistent she is.
he was dead, it seems, very soon thereafter. His twin brother held him as he died and was barely able to speak about it. And the father, who seems like an extraordinary man, Michael, comes out and speaks to the cameras about what happened to his son. Here's a bit of Austin's dad. Take a listen. This happened Wednesday. They have a suspect in custody, identified by police as Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old student at Frisco Centennial High School. He was taken into custody on a murder charge. His bond has not yet been set.
She didn't say anything about his GPA. She didn't say anything about his academic achievement. She didn't say anything about the fact that he was in line for scholarships. She didn't say any of that. She skipped right over it. Do you realize what a monstrous subhuman animal you have to be a white supremacist? To be Megyn Kelly. You have to understand that. There's very little daylight between the Adolf Hitlers and the Megyn Kellys. They are flagrant animalistic beasts. They attack.
What? Please bear with me. I know this guy is terrible to listen to. Just bear with me. This is a big YouTuber. Clearly someone that's directing people towards the donation site for Carmelo Anthony. The craziest part to me is that he thinks he's any different than all of the accusations he's throwing at Megyn Kelly. I mean, wow. The lack of self-awareness here.
Children, they target children. This is what they do. This is what they've always done. They are beyond humanity. They are beyond civilized behavior. They are beyond anything that we would even remotely describe as human. And by beyond it, I mean beneath it. These are the subhuman animalistic scum that walk among us.
Do you see now why people are donating to Carmelo Anthony? People listen to YouTubers like this. Psychos. Lunatics. This guy, this is the only video I've ever watched of this guy, but I'm just assuming he is an absolute whack job, right? I think we can all agree with that. This guy is making his entire audience hate white people. And I say white people like that because, oh, he's talking about white supremacists. But he's saying that basically, what determines what's a white supremacist or not? I have a feeling this guy thinks a lot of people are white supremacists. And the way that he's describing people, like Megyn Kelly, is despicable. That's crazy. But it's starting to show you why people are donating to Carmelo Anthony, why people have the attitude towards people of other races that they do. It's because they listen to lunatics like this.
Which is why white supremacy has been, and will always be the greatest threat to mankind, much less civilized man. And this is why they'll pay them millions of dollars to make sure that white supremacy is well funded.
And notice that he only talks about white supremacy. It's not just racism in general or the thought of your race being supreme and above all others. It's just solely white supremacy is the biggest threat to mankind. All right.
This guy Anthony played football in for the school centennial and indicated on social media pages that he had been offered scholarships to play football for several smaller schools. This is just incredible. So he had some sort of hope in front of him, the suspect, Carmelo Anthony, that he played football, and then on social media at least he was claiming that he'd been offered scholarships to play football for several similar
Okay, so my fault. I did mention earlier how I thought that it was Metcalf that had offers to play for football for smaller colleges. I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I honestly don't know. I thought I read that, but maybe I was actually reading that about Carmelo. But another point here, this YouTuber was talking about, oh, Metcalf and his brother, football players, they're a track meet. Okay. Carmelo Anthony appears to have been a football player as well. Maybe he also ran track? So maybe the Metcalf twins were also running track. It's very common for football players to also run track or also wrestle or also powerlift or also play another sport, you know? In high school, a lot of people play multiple sports. So maybe they were both football players and on the track team. I don't know. But the point is, he didn't call that part out either. Everything he's accusing Megyn Kelly of, this guy's just, he's just doing the exact same thing that he's accusing her of.
several smaller schools. And now this other kid, who appears to be completely innocent of doing no more than asking to have his seat, is dead at age 17 with nothing but promise lying in front of him and in the arms of his own twin brother. There's an element to this that must be mentioned, and that is that the assailant was black and the victim was white. And one thing that's very obvious to all of us is if the races were reversed, you wouldn't just be hearing about this on this show and a handful of others. It would be blanketing the national airwaves coast to coast. But it's not, because honestly, white boys' lives don't matter.
So understand something. She is doing her Carolyn Bryant to Emmett Till. So if you want to know why it was so important and so dastardly that bastard Barack Obama, it's important because she just let you know the only thing that mattered was their race, because she sees a racial component to it.
She never once said this is the only thing that matters. She said, here are the races. I believe if the races were reversed, it would be all over the media. And she's probably right about that too. So what he's saying she said is not what she said.
She sees a racial component to it that she's looking to see how she can use it. How do we use that? And that's exactly what she went to. Left out all the facts now. The only fact that matters is, well, there's a white person dead, and there's a black person we can blame for it, and the facts of the matter and the actual events don't matter. Whatever the circumstances were, that doesn't matter. Everyone needs to be mobilized, and that's all you need to hear is a white person seems to have been harmed, and that's all we need to know.
This dude's a lunatic. This dude's an absolute nut job.
Now, of course, she has no shortage of white male, suspected white supremacists.
Remember, didn't this guy start off his video by saying that he doesn't, jump to radical conclusions? This man's brain needs to be studied just to see how humans are capable of such a lack of self-awareness. It's pretty astonishing, right? Pretty crazy.
To join her, who of course told the white supremacist line, all they need to know is you're black, and then they go off into a racist screed because of course they can't help themselves, because the re-election of Donald Trump has enabled them and emboldened them. And this is good.
Good.
This is exactly what we need to have.
Your thoughts, Michael?
Also, before Michael Knowles talks here, I've met Michael once. I have a lot of friends that actually know Michael pretty well. Apparently, he's an absolutely amazing guy. Look, I don't listen to his podcast or anything like that, but apparently he's just like a genuinely kind-hearted human being that is actually looking out for the best people and actually wants to like make everyone feel good, feel comfortable, and genuinely cares about others. Like I said, I don't know him personally. It's just what I've heard from people that do know him personally. Just felt it was necessary to say that here in this video. Because clearly he's being attacked, he's being called a white supremacist, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what other names this man's going to call Michael Knowles, but I just wanted you to hear what I've heard about the man.
The fact that you even have to walk on eggshells to state this obvious fact about the case shows you, in no small part, how we got to this place in the first place. It's just a horrible story. What amazing grace from this boy's father, who says, I already forgive him, which is to say, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And
Okay, if he already forgives him, why are y'all talking? You should have just moved on. Like when black folk get harmed by police and everybody else, oh well, if they forgive, it's time to move on. The media here isn't giving the forgive, time to move on. They're saying, wait a minute now, it don't matter what you forgive. Hang them high. And by the way, that's exactly what this guy here, Megyn Kelly, sure does know how to find vicious white supremacists and suspected white supremacists to join her to target black children, because wait till you hear what he says here in just a moment.
I will repay, their foot shall slide in due time. That is not to say that the boy should not be arrested, prosecuted, imprisoned for life at least, if not more. And,
imprisoned for life at least, if not more. What? Does he even hear himself right now? Does he understand how life works? No, of course not. This is reactionary, emotional, white supremacist vomit and drivel. Of course he's not thinking rationally. White supremacy is...
But this man's thinking rationally. This YouTuber is the most rational among us. Now, also, I think Michael Knowles could have been talking about the death penalty. He could have been talking about multiple life sentences. I don't know. There are things to add on top of a life sentence. I'm not saying that Carmelo Anthony deserves that. I'm just saying that there are things on top of a life sentence. So I don't know why this YouTuber is acting like nothing like that exists. All right, let's continue listening to this walking rage bait. YouTubing rage bait. God, it's just... When you listen to people like this, you have to understand that there are people that listen to this type of person consistently on a daily basis. This is where they get their news from. It creates a type of person that has so much animosity towards anyone that even remotely aligns with people like Michael Knowles, Megyn Kelly, anything like that. There is so much hatred, so much animosity created within these groups of people. It's really upsetting, and it's something that I think that does not get enough attention. Within the U.S., the two sides are so polarized, and you're starting to see why, right?
It's not rational, people. It's propaganda. It's not rational. He should be in prison for life, if not more. If not, what's the more? What is the more? Your life and? What are you talking about? I know he's not trying to say that. I think what he may try to come back with later say, well, if more means the death penalty. Really? That doesn't apply here. Which he knows that too. By the way, 17 years old, life doesn't apply, and the death penalty doesn't apply here either. The death penalty absolutely does not apply here. And yet he's telling you what he wishes. So all the excuses that they have historically given us, all of a sudden that flies out the window because we're white and we say so.
What? Who thinks like that?
Jason, what is it that's upsetting them? What is it that's making them so angry? What is it that's making them so mad right now? I'll let you know what's making them so mad right now because this is occurring as we go right here. This is a crowdfunding that's been set up by Carmelo's family here.
All right, boom.
They have
I haven't watched past this. I don't want to watch past that point. Honestly, listening to this YouTuber speak really does just upset me. But there you go. He then gives a shout out to the donation website, which was clearly directing plenty of people to go donate. So, you understand why these men and women are donating to Carmelo Anthony's defense fund now. They believe he is the victim of a modern day lynching. They believe there's some type of race war being waged in the US, and this 17-year-old is on their side because of his skin color, and he is the target of their enemies. You see that now, right? That is what this YouTuber, that is the reality that this YouTuber creates for his audience, for his community. He's a big YouTuber. He has 169,000 subscribers. This stream has 40,000 views in the last 12 hours. That's an impact. Now let's be completely real. Left-wing media, and most mainstream media, has been fueling this outrage for a while now. Anytime a white person does something against a black person, they shove the story in the world's face until it's all anyone can see or hear. There are shitty white people out there that do terrible things because of race, but not every tragic situation involving those two races is due to that. And when you intentionally avoid sharing stories of black people doing something bad, and you highlight stories of white people doing something bad, you then force right-wing media to highlight those stories that you intentionally are neglecting. And now congrats. One side only shows white people doing bad stuff, and the other side only shows the black people doing bad stuff, and we're all living in different realities. Now, obviously, this young man deserves a fair trial. Derek Chauvin got caught in the middle of this falsely manufactured race war, and no matter whether you thought he was guilty or innocent, he was screwed from the start because the media turned it into a race thing. This tragic situation that we're discussing right now, involving Carmelo and Metcalf, is now also being highlighted because of the media's coverage of it. Obviously, no matter what I think happened, Carmelo deserves a fair trial. Let all the information come out, and we'll see what happens. But this is how we've gotten to the point where a young man's family has raised over $150,000 in such a short period of time, when all currently available evidence makes it seem pretty clear that he committed murder.